What up, though? Welcome back to Woodward Heavyweights Live, WoodwardSports.com. I'm Easy, joined by my guy Spin Morax.
What up, though?
Unky Pete in the TD booth. Yo, Unky Nick on the ones and twos,
Let's
a.k.a.
go.
Detroit Mario, a.k.a. Detroit Luigi, a.k.a. Detroit Waluigi, a.k.a. hit the mother effing like button. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Yeah, man, we kind of touched. It's a weird one.
It's a weird situation, man.
It's a weird one. I don't know how to go about it. But to be fair, this was a conversation being had beforehand about the cornerback position and acquisition for the Detroit Lions. Some people I respect and love say that it should be something to be looking at in the first round after everything they grabbed in the offseason. However, I know that Brad truly goes BPA. We had a guy in Kool-Aid McKinstry. We talked about Caleb Williams' pro day. Kool-Aid McKinstry also had his pro day, and scouts clocked him in at a 4.47 with a Jones fracture on his foot. Mm-hmm. And I asked this to Dion last night too, because Kool-Aid was supposed to be the man. He's only targeted 39 times last year, and in those 39 attempts, he's only let up 19 of them. So it's like 50% completion. Like when you're going his way, that's pretty good. And the SEC had it as well. Is he better or more athletic than like we're kind of giving him credit for? I mean, the fact like he did all that with the Jones fracture, like you think he'd be a little bit quicker than what we saw on tape?
I mean, that definitely helps. If you don't have a broken foot, you're definitely going to be able to run faster. I don't think that's a strong take. I don't think that's a hard correlation to make, that if you're healthy, you're going to be more athletic and faster, especially when it comes to foot injuries. But we'll see, man. He was the consensus number one kind of before the season when you look at cornerback prospects in this draft, and kind of fell down because some other guys were rising. And like you said, that he wasn't getting tested at Bama. They weren't even throwing the ball to his side of the field. They were attacking Terrion Arnold. They were throwing to other guys in place of Kool-Aid McKinstry because he was that respected and that feared in college football this year. So this is a guy that the Lions have met with. This is a guy that the Lions have sat down with and talked to, so they definitely have some interest on him. And if he's there at 18, 29, Brad Holmes is a guy that explores all avenues. Brad Holmes is a guy that does not leave a stone unturned. So would I be surprised, especially in the midst of what's going on with Cam Sutton, and who knows where he's going to end up or what he's going to be on this team? No, cornerback is definitely in play. It was in play before all of the madness with Cam Sutton, and it's definitely even more in play now.
Shout out to Kenny Powers in the Woodward Sports chat. He sent in a super chat. So free agents I want that make the Lions better if they sign them today are cornerback Gilmore, at safety Simmons or Diggs, and defensive end Mike Dana, I believe you're talking about, or Clowney. I don't know if any of those guys are on the radar for I mean, they might be on the radar for Detroit Lions. I'm not closing the door on Gilmore. Simmons, I don't see coming here. He's just kind of like, he's still fairly young. Only 30 years old, probably considered one of the top 15 safeties in the league. Diggs, probably a possibility. Dana, probably a possibility. I don't know that Clowney is. I feel like we would have heard some rumblings about that, but we didn't hear any rumblings about Geitler before that happened, or Zeitler, I should say. But I like Gilmore. I think he should definitely be on the table. And we're talking about drafting the cornerback position. Nick, I guess, given the circumstances, I mean, would you rather them, I guess, grab it in free agency, or you want to ride with a rookie this year?
If I have to choose one, I think I would trust Gilmore. I think I would lean Gilmore if I was going to have to pick one of them. But if I have the option to get both here, I would take Kool-Aid as well. I would go Gilmore for the 1 year option with the vet, and then you draft your cornerback one, hopefully, of the future, with Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's what I would do there, Easy. If you're staying at 29 and not going up and getting like maybe the elite guy in this draft, I think if Kool-Aid falls to 29, yes, I would absolutely like to take him in this spot.
And I know some people are speculating too that like maybe the Lions were aware of this because it happened March 7th. That's why they made the trade. They made the signing. No, the Detroit Lions put out a statement today. Yeah. They found everything out this morning, and no further comment at this time, because it's tough to be commenting on. But I don't think that was the case. I think they wanted to go all out.
I don't think they knew about it either. I don't think they would have guaranteed the rest of his deal if they knew about what was going on.
So I think they're for sure grabbing a cornerback at some point, somewhere.
I would agree with that as well. And Weezy D313 says the Sutton news was cap, right?
No.
Unfortunately, it is very, very true. The one I've seen going around that is false was that he threw her out of a 3-story building, or wherever people were saying that online. That is not true. I have not seen any reputable source or any content of that being true other than like BuzzFeed articles. So don't agree with that one. But what is officially listed, what is officially documented by police, is that he has a warrant for his arrest for domestic violence, abuse from strangulation, and that happened on March 7th, and they're trying to contact with him, and they haven't been able to contact him since. And so they put the warrant out there, and Warrant Wednesdays, which is still
wild. Still wild.
Yeah, you don't need a
not approving the Warrant Wednesdays.
Such a Florida thing to do.
That is a Florida
ass thing to do for
Warrant
sure.
Wednesdays.
Fugitive Fridays.
Yeah, that is some real weird social media age shit. That it's like we had Woman Crush Wednesday, and now it's Warrant Wednesday. It's like I'll be so pissed if I was like, you don't even know, like you got parking tickets and stuff.
You're on a Warrant Wednesday, like fuck.
Damn, bro.
You didn't even tag me.
Add me next time.
Tag me, add me for the hoes at least. Damn.
But yeah, the Cam Sutton stuff is very, very true. Except for, like I said, the throwing her out of a 3-story building.
Yeah.
That I've not seen anywhere reputable, and I feel like it would be more than attempted murder rather than domestic abuse if that was the case.
Very true, very fair. One thing I was thinking about, I kind of said just now too, is like the fact that, okay, you traded for Carlton Davis, which I think everybody presumed him to be CB1 in that situation, whether Cam here or not. Meek, I already had the assumption that he was going to compete for that cornerback 2 spot regardless. I'm not saying he was going to win it for sure, not like that, but I think he for sure was going to make things somewhat stressful. Never mind. Maybe you move forward that. Maybe it's not like a need in terms of like, hey, I have to go sign somebody right now. And maybe you still draft Kool-Aid because like I saw someone ask in the chat, I think it was Aaron B. He asked, is Kool-Aid a Dan Campbell guy? I think he is. They met with him at the Combine for a reason, right? He's always been like presented as like the CB1 in his like class coming out of high school and whatnot. And I think one thing that I love for sure is that we talked about it yesterday. Brad Holmes signed these guys these 2-year deals, kind of keeping the carrot in front of the horse, keeping them hungry, keeping them like chasing after something. This is a guy that's been like highly coveted since high school. It's like he was, before we did obviously the homework on it, everyone thought he was like CB1 for sure in this draft class. Everyone talked about Kool-Aid. And then we kind of watched the film a little bit and we're like, he's not so great with the shiftier guys. However, you got the Jones fracture. And then now too, with him kind of getting some shade thrown on him as like the highly coveted cornerback prospect, now you might have a little bit of dog in him, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, which I think makes him more of a Dan Campbell guy. Because like knowing that he was the guy that was only targeted 39 times, that only allowed 19 receptions, only 3 touchdowns in his 3 years at Alabama, that's a guy you want with a chip on his shoulder. Similar situation to Brian Branch. We saw coming with a chip on his shoulder, perform very, very well. I think absolutely he's molded himself or is becoming a Dan Campbell guy before our eyes. I mean, that 4.47 with the Jones fracture today, I think it's a Dan Campbell move. Like going out there, still doing your pro day while injured and killing it, by the way.
Yeah, and like we said, we know they've had eyes on him before because they sat down with him to talk with him. He was one of their pre-draft visits. He was a guy that they wanted to get some information on, wanted to get in the room with, to sit down and talk to. So he's been mocked to the Lions multiple times at 29, and unfortunately the situation with Cam Sutton is looking like they're gonna get a cornerback sooner rather than later. I know we were all excited about wide receiver or edge rusher or what are they going to do, but now you might need to grab yourself a cornerback in the future or just another piece because although you signed 2 very capable or acquired 2 very, very capable cornerbacks, man, that just sucks.
Brad and Dan used the word depth multiple times in both those meetings at the Combine. And I'll say this too. Because Carlton Davis was been regarded as like CB1 his time in the NFL, probably a little bit of a decline the past couple of years, which I hear from our guys. Obviously, you guys know we're kind of plugged into the Bucks over there too. That they've been running a lot more zone than they have man the past. Like they're changing things up. He's obviously more of a man corner. How about this too for a Kool-Aid McKinstry situation where you have a guy that's 5'11", 32-inch arms, who's also just not the quickest, not the fastest. Who better to learn from than a Carlton Davis who has been a CB1 of this league with the similar traits. Obviously a little bit taller, a little bit longer in their arms, but he's not the fastest. Carlton Davis I think he only ran like a 4 or 5 or something like that. Kool-Aid, something faster than him. I don't know how you guys weigh out those pro day times versus combine times, but I feel like they'd be a great mentor for him too, coming into the league to help him deal with the shiftier guys. And you still have a Meek for the shiftier guys too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good guy for anybody to sit behind because he's been a lot. He's won a Super Bowl. He has a lot of experience guarding great receivers in this league. So you put any rookie behind a guy like that, and it's definitely going to help them.
We've seen a couple guys that Brad Holmes have drafted with obviously Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Branch, and you see how those guys present themselves in an interview type setting.
Yeah.
So I believe Kool-Aid is probably ready for those interviews after sitting with Saban for 3 years. Alabama gets you ready for it. So he's probably answering all those questions. You know exactly how Brad and Dan want to hear it. So I could easily see Kool-Aid being a Brad and Dan kind of guy.
Brad Holmes loves Bama dudes. Like we've seen that already. He's taken a lot of players out of the University of Alabama. I mean, for very good reason. They're very talented players, and they have a lot of draft picks for a reason. But he seems to like those guys a lot. You look at Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch. Like
I feel they come pro ready.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
Like Bama guys, I think you're getting them, and they typically have like the highest floors versus like ceilings and whatnot. And honestly, high ceilings too. We got a guy like Dallas Turner, who had his pro day as well.
I think it's because they come in high 4-star, high 5-star type prospects. So you know that the talent's there. It's just they have to put it all together. And maybe they peak a little earlier than some other prospects in that regard. Yeah. But we know that he's drafted a lot of Alabama guys. But one thing he hasn't done is drafted a lot of cornerbacks specifically.
Yeah.
One in the 3rd round in Iffy, and it was late 3rd round with that Rams 3rd round pick. And then the other one was turned to a safety. And then the other one was Chase Lucas in the 7th round. So we know Brad Holmes is this cornerback savant, loves watching the tape on these guys, self-proclaimed that was. And we haven't seen him pull the trigger early. I know we all know he liked Witherspoon. But do you guys see him going corner early in this draft?
I mean, we're talking about Brad Holmes, and we talked about he doesn't just, freak out in the draft and go draft what he needs. He says that the draft is for acquiring talent. He said that himself. Mm-hmm. But the talent at 29, you're going to have a lot of good cornerbacks. It is very possible that the best player available at 29 is Kool-Aid McKinstry. It is there. I definitely see a world where that is a possibility. So I don't think he's going to overreact and force a draft pick because of what's going on. But they're going to get a cornerback in this draft at some point. We knew that was going to happen, and we knew they were going to do that before the Cam Sutton news even broke, or before anything we knew was going down with Cam Sutton.
They met with Kool-Aid before.
And Quinton Mitchell.
Yeah. We talked about it. He's addressed the needs. Maybe he can make a move forward in the draft. But in the little draft exercise we did last night with Deion, once I was considering a trade, I was looking at the Detroit Lions picks at the word. We kind of would be naked at that point. We would have nothing else to really make picks with. And I think we said yesterday enough times that Brad Holmes likes his rookie contracts. He likes to be in control of where these guys are going or how much they're getting paid, because obviously he doesn't like to spend the money. So I think he would prefer the draft picks, but we'll see. I'm not counting anything out. And plus, you got future draft picks too if you really want to do it. But